A child is like a sponge, soaking in everything good and bad around them. As adults, we want our children to learn and be the best. Given as children spend majority of their time at school, schools become the most important part of your child's life.
Now, of course, the school's priority remains to educate your child. But don't you think that your child requires and needs a little more than just book learning? That's exactly what Madam Dickey wondered when Design for Change first came to Bhutan in 2010.
Design for Change sends out the all-important message to children that their voices matter, that they can be the change and lead change in their lives. As 21st century educators and schools, I believe that we can no longer run our schools the way we have been doing thus far. Content must go hand in hand with character building, passion with compassion, and doing well is no longer enough. Children must learn to do good as well. As schools, we are more concerned with competition, getting ahead of each other, school rankings, and I believe that Design for Change actually brings schools together in a spirit of collaboration and cooperation and support for each other. And that is why Design for Change, while it is such a brilliant idea and really enables us to hone our intellectual skills, it also tugs at our heartstrings and helps us educate the heart. As the country partner, we have been working very, very hard to bring the idea to as many schools across Bhutan as we possibly could. And I'm happy to report that we've reached almost 108 schools and still counting as of this year, and really covered all 20 districts.
Design for Change offers a simple 4-step design process of feel, imagine, do, and share, which develops the value of empathy, ethics, engagement, and elevation. Let's get the help of someone who's been a part of Design for Change for 6 years now.
Hey friends, my name is Sonam Tenzin Wangchuk and I've been the GFC Club student for the past 6 years, and today me and my friends are going to explain to you the feel, imagine, do, and share process. Let's start with feel. Feel is the stage in which we think with our hearts. In this stage, we have to think of any problem that bothers us, no matter how simple or how mundane it may seem. In this stage, the students have to think for themselves and not rely on what the teachers have to either dictate or have to say about them.
The second stage in the Design for Change process is the Imagine stage. Here, we're able to use all thinking skills such as critical thinking skill, creative thinking skill, and problem-solving skills. This way, we're able to employ 21st century skills of thinking out of the box.
Imagine, we ideate the problems and vote for the most potential idea where we can bring significant changes in and around us.
The third stage in the Design for Change process is the Do stage. The Do stage is a very important stage because any idea that students would have imagined to solve the problem are only as good as it is implemented or put into action.
Do. Make the change happen. We plan, implement, and reflect. This is when we prove we can make a change happen.
The fourth and final stage of the DFC process is the Share stage. Why share? Because we believe that nothing is of value unless it is shared. So any school's story of change does not remain with the school itself. By sharing through YouTube videos, presentations, social media, and even through word of mouth, children are able to learn from each other and be inspired to come up with their own story of change.
FIDS is a simplified design thinking process articulated in such a manner that students can understand it very easily. Some benefits of FIDS are: 1. Develop 21st century skills like scientific mindfulness, problem solving, leadership, logical and critical thinking, and self-direction. 2. Promotes employability skills like creativity, adaptability, willingness to learn, teamwork, design thinking, self-discipline, reliability, and self-motivation. And 3. Social and emotional competencies. Children show increased pro-social behavior. For example, children are more likely to be empathetic and help each other, talk to each other, have more peer respect, and there is a significant decrease in antisocial behavior like bullying or fighting.
We know teachers and students have a lot on their plates. So how does Design for Change make room in a school?
So let's just give one example of how we execute it at our school. So first of all, we form a Design for Change club, and the club membership could be anywhere from 15 to 25 students. And these students actually come together, and through the facilitation provided by the Design for Change coordinator in the school, we go through the 4 stages of the DFC process, that is feel, imagine, do, and share. So the feel stage happens in a very safe space where every child's voice counts. And once those problems have been enumerated, what happens is the club as a whole zooms in on the problems that they feel might be most urgent to tackle. And so the problem that gets the most number of votes actually becomes the problem that the story zooms in to solve for that year. Then imagine. So the imagine stage is again similar. Every child's idea counts. No matter how simple or silly it may seem, we value each one's ideas. And so again, just like the field stage, all these ideas are taken up, and again we zoom in on the doable ideas that may help to solve the problem. And then of course the third stage is the do stage, and that is really important. The third stage, no idea is as good as it being implemented or put into action. So people really have to then get into the act of trying out these ideas and seeing whether they work. And when they discover that they actually do work, then the next stage is to share. So they go and present it to the entire school community. So this is the DFC club, but the idea is taken now and shared to the entire school community of teachers and students and even the parent body. And then only can the school collectively resolve to eradicate that problem that was bothering them.
Our teachers always told us that education is the strongest weapon anyone can have. But even though education is free in our country, some of us are not so fortunate. Like many of the caregivers who come to drop off and pick up many of our schoolmates. This had us in a bind. We noticed that some of the caregivers were of our age too. Well, we decided to do something about it. We talked to our teachers and expressed that we wanted to give these caregivers an opportunity to study. After some careful deliberations, we finally came to a solution of our own. Brook School would provide education to caregivers, with the teachers acting as the resource person and us, the senior students, as assistants to the learners, of course. It was not so easy reaching out to our would-be students of the program, but with a little help from everyone, we pulled it off. So in the year 2014, we finally started off our Kindle a Flame program under the DFC module with 12 learners. Classes are held every Saturday and Sunday with lessons in English, Zonka, mathematics, IT, music, HPE, library and social skills. We insisted on a well-rounded curriculum for the learners to ensure a wholesome education. This program might be a small step towards a global cause, but we are happy that our actions make a big difference in the lives of our learners.
Schools across the country have made use of design for change and solved some very real problems. For example, in Paptong Central School in Hinsi, the school has used design for change to solve a very big crisis in their school.
Due to the very less number of students in our school, the shopkeepers were not keen on selling or delivering school uniforms as they could not gain any profit from it. Although it wasn't important to have a uniform, the students felt that the lack of a uniform distracted them from school, as most of the parents could not afford to buy multiple gos and kiras to be worn at school. This led to frequent absenteeism of students from schools, petty arguments amongst children, and a lot of complaints to the school management. The children then imagined a school with uniform woven by their own people, not only solving the problem in hand, but educating the children in the art of weaving and teaching them to be self-reliant. After long discussions with children and parents, a firm decision for a positive change was confirmed. Threads were bought from the local shops, and a volunteer group of parents dedicated their time to set the threads ready and weave, in the process giving hands-on lessons to children on how to weave.
We are the future, we'll be setting our own goals. We are the future, and new stories will unfold of equal rights and justice, clear skies up above. We are the future, we stand for love. If we work together, hand in hand, we'll fulfill
The time finally came when we could go to school in our uniform, made in Baptong uniforms.
leaders of the way.
Since our story of change was found more befitting for schools with less number of students, we shared our idea with other schools nearby. Our story is a reminder of how education is not just about book learning, it is about creating an environment for children to explore their intelligence and creativity. We take this opportunity to thank the concept of Design for Change and are happy to be the recipient of the Design for Change Contest 2012.
Design for Change helped students in remote and in urban areas alike. For instance, when the City School Early Learning Center found most of its students bringing in packaged food, they decided they had to do something. And this is what they did.
I can and you can, together we can be the change in the world. I can and you can, together we can be the change we want to see. Feel, imagine, do your part. Feel, imagine, do your part. I can and you can, together we can be the change in the world. I can and you can, together we can be the change we want to see. Feel, imagine, do your part. Feel, imagine, do your part. I can and you can, together we can be the change in our world.
Design for Change works perfectly well with the nationwide theme of educating for gross national happiness, and it is also now identified as one of the strategies to achieve the 17 UN Global Goals. Despite all its benefits, there are still some obstacles that hinder the growth and functioning of Design for Change in schools.
Due to time constraint, we cannot focus much on the program, and as a teacher, we have to teach in the classes as well as do other activities, carry out other activities. So it's very difficult when it comes to managing the time.
It becomes then even more critical for us to build capacity among the teacher coordinators in the field so that they can see how relevant this particular program is, because it encompasses so many aspects of education that every one of us struggles with. For instance, life skills, which entail decision making, problem solving, critical thinking, creative thinking, stress and emotional management. All of these things become so much a part and parcel of the DFC process that even without realizing it, children are being enabled in these life skills that are so important long after we leave school. For true empowerment of the child, one would need to ensure that the change is driven by the child, meaning to say that even the problems must be identified by the children. And that only makes sense because unless somebody takes ownership of a problem, they will not ideate and think out of the box to solve the problem. So therefore, it is absolutely critical that even the problem is identified by the students themselves. In order for us to move forward, it is important for us to be able to also garner support, not only in terms of people's goodwill, but also financial support. And I have to say that we have managed to get a lot of that kind of support from various corporations and organizations through their CSR programs, and we hope that we can reach many more such organizations, because this is not in aid of one school, but it's in aid of the entire education system.
Design for Change does more than just solve problems that surrounds us. It prepares children for the real world where they will have to creatively and critically solve problems.
As a student, I generally remember being repeatedly told what not to do, but with a very limited emphasis on why aspect of it, except for the fact that it's against the rules. And as a teacher trainee back in the College of Education, I remember being taught how to teach and what to teach, but again, it lacked that emphasis on how to connect with the students. So to me as a teacher, I feel that Design for Change actually empowers, not only empowers and enables students with the I can spirit, but also teachers like us to be able to educate in a better way.
Because of this Design for Change, we could easily do away with this government vehicles and banning plastics in the campus, and also bringing green vegetables on every Wednesday. So these are some of the achievements that Rook School has reaped from this program.
Including Bhutan, Design for Change has reached over 65 countries all over the world. In Bhutan alone, DFC, Design for Change, has reached over 100 schools.
DFC is like magic. It is my way of changing the world.
I learned to be a problem solver.
Design for Change has helped me to think twice before I use tissue paper, as we have to cut down many trees just for the production of tissue paper, and we can replace it by handkerchiefs.
I learned how to cope with my emotions and stress.
Inspired me to be a very thankful and relevant person.
DFC has taught me how to be a better human being.
Everything is precious is the most important thing I learned from the DFC.
Made me an empathetic person.
I learned to share, cooperate,
change for environment, reuse the waste in better ways, and also we are using 3 R's: reuse, reduce, recycle.
I could help my family budget management out of the waste.
Be a part in making a change.
Hard work and confidence.
Design for change helped me improve my life skill.
GFC inspires me to solve my own problems.
I can and you can, together we can.